Oh, okay, sorry. My sound wasn't working. Hi, Elizabeth. You're so fast. Hello, hello. Good afternoon. Okay, cool. This is I I'm just waiting for the live stream to catch up on my. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. I can hear myself now. Um Ugh, I do not like that feedback. Hopefully it doesn't annoy you too much. I'm so sorry for that obnoxious worrying. Okay. Hello, Audrey. Hi. Good afternoon. How are you? Um, yeah, I am sorry it's been a bit. There just has not been a good time to stream. Every time I was like, ooh, there's finally time to stream, it was like 6 p.m. PST, and I'm like, or 7 p.m. PST, and I was like, oh, okay, so it's already 9 or 10 on the East Coast, like, on like a Tuesday night. I was like, yeah. I was like, let alone, I don't know. It just never ended up working out. So, anyway. Cinnamon buns from scratch. Yum, that sounds so good. Oof. I don't know if I've made cinnamon buns from scratch on my own as an adult. Like, I definitely made them a lot as a kid, like with my mom. But I don't think I've made them as an adult, actually. Like, I've definitely made them, but I always just buy them from, like, like, the tin that you pop open. But that sounds amazing. Um, oh my gosh. Last time I was at my mom's house, she made orange buns. It's basically just cinnamon buns, but filled with like orange, fresh oranges, and it was so good. I should make those. Anyway, I haven't talked about what I've read recently for a while. Last time I did a stream, I did not update you on my reading at all. So I figured I would start today with my reading, and then I could go into like updating stuff and also show you some other stuff I did. Like I made a series tracker because the last time I did that was like 2018. I have not had a series tracker in like over 5 years. It's been horrifically out of date for a long time. I've just kind of been keeping track of series by putting the next book to read on my Goodreads on a shelf. But I kind of wanted to get like a better grasp of it because I feel like the amount of series I'm reading is really out of hand. So I kind of did some other stuff over the last couple weeks in regards to my reading. And I've also feel like I've read a good amount. Elizabeth, I DNF'd Moonflow. I got 12% in. It didn't get gross or anything. I didn't get to the horror like at all. There was only like one trippy scene and that was it. I didn't get to any horror, but I just wasn't very interested. I wasn't really enjoying the writing. Just was not vibing, and I was like, I don't know. I was reading some of the reviews and I was like, I just don't think this is the one for me. I was warned. I'm just gonna give up on it. I'm gonna just try to blitz through some stuff and be thinking about cinnamon rolls the whole time. Okay, books I've read since the last time I talked to you about my reading. I finished Slaves to Fashion, Black Dandyism, and The Styling of Black Diasporic Identity by Monica L. Miller. I read this because after the what is it called? That big party that all the celebrities go to, and I have to pay a lot of money for the ticket, and then it like goes to the arts. That like big gala thing. Anyway, after that, like the last theme was Black Dandyism. And so I heard people saying this was a good book to learn more about that because they didn't know a ton about it. And I learned a lot about it, and I really enjoyed it a lot. It just had so much information that I didn't know anything about, and it felt a little overwhelming because the chapters were so long. This whole book is like 400 pages, and there's like 5 chapters. The chapters are really, really long. So I would say that's like my one huge critique for this book, is just that I wish, even if you're gonna have like, maybe I wish those were parts and then there were like slightly smaller chapters breaking that up in those big parts, if you still wanted to have that, just to make it a little bit more digestible, because it felt really hard to like, and I'm not a person who struggles like putting a book down in the middle of a chapter and then picking it back up, but it just made it hard to like know if I was trying to set a goal of like, let's try to get to the end of the chapter, and it's like, oh, it's so far away, and it just like made it hard to like, I don't know, it just like was really just like so much information. It was like very dense, all packed together, and I just like wish it was like slightly more section, was like my only thing, but I thought it was incredible. So it goes from like maybe like 1600s ish in England, and then all the way down to present day, and it's just like talking about Black Dandyism, and I really enjoyed it. And I mean, of course it does, but I didn't know this because I didn't know anything about it, how much like it has to do with like slavery and like the origins of all that. And yeah, it was great. And I think it's one I would like to reread in the future, maybe in like 5 or 10 more years. I think I would know more and enjoy it more and understand more. Okay, The Starving Saints by Caitlin Starling. I liked things about this, and I didn't like things about this. So it's about these nuns, like this priory, this king and his knights and like his people, and then all just like the random folks from this like around this nunnery are all trapped in this castle, and it has been under siege. And so you're following the perspective of 3 different women. One of them is like a heretic nun, one is a knight to the king, and then one is like a thief, kind of. Sort of what she is. And it's kind of how they're making it through, and then some like weird magical stuff is going on, and then these they're trying to like figure out a way to, well, they've been trying to get help for the last 6 months, and then they're trying to figure out the nun is trying to figure out a way to get a miracle to happen, and to call, like, yeah, manifest a miracle, basically. What she was able to do with like curing the water and making it drinkable, but now she's trying to like basically alchemize food out of nothing. And I don't know, it felt a little long. It was only 350 pages, but I think I would have liked aspects of this if it was a bit shorter. I think this cover is incredible. But yeah, basically these saints come and they're not what they seem. And there's just like weird shit going on, and it gets really, really gruesome. Um I don't know. It felt, yeah, just like very slow and kind of oddly paced in spots, and it felt very like, I think it does have to do with like the fact that it's like all these people feel like they're fucking losing their minds in this awful castle that they've just been trapped in for months, and they're all just like, I think it is kind of intentional that the book just feels like kind of like suffocating and ugh, but it wasn't my favorite reading experience. Like, I didn't hate it and I didn't love it, and there were some parts I really enjoyed and some parts I didn't enjoy. Anyway, it is very gross though. Disgusting is a good word for it. And a fever dream. I think that is what I'm trying to describe. It's just like, it just feels so like odd and hazy and bizarre. But this cover is peak. I love this cover so much. One of my favorite covers, honestly. And I landed on a 3. I was tempted to kind of give it a 4, but I was like, I didn't like it enough to give it a 4. I didn't dislike it by any means, but I did not love it. And I don't feel like I'm giving a good review. Moonflow is about this woman who supplies mushrooms, psychedelics for someone, and then that person requests a new type of mushroom, and so then the main character has to go get it from this woods, but everybody who goes into the woods like disappears, and apparently it's really weird and gross, and everybody in this book is apparently like very trans and queer and gay, which I love and I thought I would enjoy, but I just wasn't vibing with it, so I put it down. And I got 12% of the way into it, and then I think there's also like a cult in this book. This I was pretty sad about. I read Long Shadow by Olivia Atwater. It's the 3rd book in the Regency fairy tale series, so this is a novella that I read after Half a Soul, and I gave that 4 stars, but Half a Soul and 10,000 Stitches, I gave both 5 stars. 10,000 Stitches I probably liked better than Half a Soul by a bit, but I love them both. And then this one I only gave 3 stars. I did not love it as much. which is why I'm sad, because I'm like, oh, I loved it. I loved the first 2 books so much. So then Long Shadow, the fact that I didn't love it, I was very sad about. But I can't really tell you too much about everything about this book because I don't want to give anything away, because they're companion novels, they do, yes, yeah, like me, like you, I did DNF Moonflow. Yeah, I just sorry, I thought you were here earlier when I very first Um, it's one of the worst things I said on the stream. Was like, I DNF Moonflow. No, I DNF'd it because in the back of my mind I had your insidious voice saying that you did not like it. So I always had that in the back of my mind. And I was like, it made me more ready to DNF it when I wasn't vibing with it. I was like, okay, I'm ready to let this go. Keisha, hello. Hello. Okay, sorry. I was like reading your thing. I saw your name and then I said hi and then I read it. Always at work. I'm sorry. I know my streams are at weird times. Oh, hello. How are you doing? 707. I was just pulling you up because I was like, wait, have you posted recently? And I didn't know, but no, you haven't. I was like, am I out of the loop? But I'm not out of the loop. Okay. Anyway. I don't think I got far enough into Moonflow to not understand what was going on in it. A 10-hour 4-day work week. That, oh, yeah. I hope the extra day off is serving you well. I hope it's working good for you. I wish it was a 8-hour 4-day work week for you, but with the same pay, of course. But a 10-hour 4-day sounds nice. Oh, I hope everything's good. Hello, thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it. Yeah, I only got barely to the point with in Moonflow with what's her name? She had a weird name. One of the people in the cult. Like, I understood everything that was happening, but I didn't get far enough, I don't think, to not understand what was happening. I DNF'd it very quickly because I just didn't really care. What was that character's name? Yeah, I know. Posting is hard. I don't know how people have the energy and what is the word I'm looking for? That thing that powers them. I don't know, I can't think of what I'm thinking of. The drive. Yeah. Yes. That is what I was trying to look for, was the names. There were some weird names in Moonflow. Okay, yeah, I understood everything that was going on. We got to the same point, I guess, but I just wasn't interested. Oh, hello. Hi, Elizabeth. Happy Sunday. I hope your weekend is going well. I know. I also stay in my PJs all day. I I've I've talked to Chris about this where I'm like, when I go back to work, I'm gonna have to buy a good amount of new clothes because I'm like, I don't fit a lot of the clothes anymore, and I'm gonna have to buy some new stuff to, you know, actually go to work. Whoops. Like, because I live in athletic shorts and t-shirts. That is my everyday wardrobe. Laundry, very nice. I know, I have to wash my sheets too. I thought about it yesterday, but I just didn't have the energy yesterday. Maybe today. Disney Dreamlight Valley, very nice. I only played like maybe 5 hours of that when it very first came out. I barely played any of that. I'm glad it's fueling you. That makes me happy. Games like that are so my vibe. I love those like little task games and everything. I don't know why that one didn't catch me super well, but I have watched people play it and stuff, and it is so fun. Mm. Oh, thanks, Elizabeth. I appreciate that. I'm glad I can be of service. Okay. Okay, the third book. I the the plot of this one, without giving anything away from the first two, is that this one has to do with Slua, which is very fun because I didn't know what Slua was until a couple years ago when I was stitching a pattern with Slua on it, a cross stitch pattern, from like a small designer. And so they're basically they steal people. Slua. We're the host of the unforgiven dead in Irish and Scottish folklore. Anyway, they fly through the air. I will wonder, I'm like, the pictures of them are so cool though. And I didn't know about them, yeah, I guess till like 2023. I stitched this whole like slew of pattern from, the artist is, what is her name? Shit. Ugh, I would have to find it. But I fell in love with the illustration before I knew anything about it, and then I like looked it up because I was like, what the hell does this word mean? And then reading the book, I went into it and I was like, whoa, Slua. And I really liked like the folklore and like extra lore that Olivia Atwater gave to them. According to your Switch outing me to people, that's so great. I know, that was me with Animal Crossing. Hi Bruna, how are you doing? Happy Sunday. Okay, I have to find this illustrator because I need to show you what it looks like. Ugh. Josie Wren is the artist, and I love her stuff. And this is her Slua painting, which is stunning. Look at that. And this is her interpretation of the Slua flying over the village. And I saw this and I was like, oh. And I got to stitch it into a piece of cross stitch. And anyway, I did like the Slua portrayal in this book a lot, and that was definitely my favorite part because I was like, I know them. I was like Elf in Elf. I was like, I know them. But I don't know, I just felt like the main character was very young in this book. In the first two books, not that they were like old by any means, the main character, but they were definitely like a little bit older, and she just felt so young in this one, and it felt a lot more like the romance was a little bit more shoehorned in. It was like, well, there was a romance in the first one, so there has to be a romance in this one. And it's like, I almost wish the character was older, or that there wasn't a romance and the romance was queer, and I did like that the romance was queer, but I don't know. I just had some not love with that. And again, it just felt like some parts just took a really long time. And anyway. But there's Josie Wren if you want to follow her on Instagram. Her stuff is stunning. I love it. I love this artwork so much. Like, do you not want to buy one of these rocks? Chris does not like this art style. We've had arguments about this before. And I'm like, don't you want to buy this and put this on your wall? Because we've, like, looked at art to, like, buy to put on our wall. And he was like, no. And I was like, what? Look at her. Look at her. How do you not want that on your wall? And he was like, I just, no. So. Anyway. That's enough of Josie Wren. Anyway. But, yeah. The folklore slough is very cool. And I like what it was done in this. I thought it was very interesting. But I just felt like this was missing some of the beats. And it didn't feel like it was as in tandem with the other books in the series. Okay, I'll move on. Between Two Rivers, I'm kind of going over, but I know some people have gotten here since I was trying to go over what I've read the last few weeks, but then a bunch of people came in and we were having chats and stuff. Between Two Rivers, Ancient Mesopotamia and the Birth of History by Moody Al-Rasid. I don't know how you say that. I'm so sorry. I give this 3 stars. I did learn a lot of history, and this cover is stunning. I love this cover. I did learn a lot of history, and I learned a lot of interesting information, but I did not like the author's tone of voice. I didn't like the author very much. She kind of annoyed me. And she may not annoy you. This is a me problem, maybe not a you problem, and I do struggle with when the author inserts themselves into the book a lot, not liking that. And I was talking to Chris about parts that I didn't like, and he was like, you historically don't like it when this happens. And I was like, I know, and I didn't know this was gonna happen. Where it's like, she was talking about how, like, birth worked in ancient Mesopotamia, and then she was like, and this is how my birth worked, and this is my birth story, and this is what happened with me and my daughter, and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck about you and your daughter. I'm here to learn about ancient Mesopotamia, not about 21st century you and your daughter. And, like, this is very much a me problem. This is, your mileage may vary very much, and you may like more that grounding and that humanizing and that modernizing and stuff, but I personally do not. And there are some exceptions. There are some books where I have enjoyed the author being a part of the story, but it is rare and very far between those books. Most of the time when the author inserts themselves into the book a lot, when it's like, this is a book about this, and this is when they claim it to be like a history book about something, and then they talk about their own life, I don't like that. Or where she was like, I'm going to talk about how ancient Mesopotamia wrote stuff on these round, I don't remember what they're called, but basically they're cylinders, and they would carve stuff in these cylinders. And I don't know, I think it was like Hammurabi. She was like, she was like, this is the time that I took my daughter to go see one of those with Hammurabi on it. And I'm like, I don't care about this story. Why are you telling me this story? Or there was like another time when she was like, she was like, I love to tell my daughter the story of, oh gosh, what is that really famous, I don't know, some story or whatever. She was like, I tell my daughter this story all the time, but I have to completely edit it and sanitize it and make it age appropriate because it's full of like violence and rape and all these things. But it's her favorite story and I tell it to her all the time. And I'm like, I don't care. Why are you telling me this? Are you just trying to prove how much you love this and how much ancient Mesopotamia means to you? Like, I don't care. And like, this book is so short. Like, I know it's 336 pages, but like, the audiobook was only 7 hours long. It was a really short book. Like, just so much of it was filled with all these like personal little anecdotes about her and her life and her personal relationships and her relationship with her daughter and all these things, and the first time that she did this and the first time she did that and the first time blah 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 blah, and her. And and you may love this. This may work for you. You may love this tying of the author in with this. But it drove me up a fucking wall. Like, the first third of the book, I did enjoy quite a bit. And, like, the last third of the book, I was, like, ready to throw this book across the room. I was so annoyed. Because there's just, like, the more I got to know the author, the more I was just, like, shut up. No one cares about you. Well, and people do care about you because it has a 4-star rating. People like this book a lot. I just don't care about you. Which sounds horrible. I know. I just, like, I don't care about you in my nonfiction about ancient Mesopotamia. Shut up. Anyway. And that's my experience with this book. And so I gave it 3 stars. Because I did learn a lot. And it was really interesting when the author stopped talking about herself. And that's my review of this book. I think she let her personal experiences, like, really color stuff as well. Anyway, I'll move on. Obsolescence by Martha Wells, which has been totally like deleted off of Goodreads. I know it says it no longer meets catalog guidelines and can no longer be rated or reviewed, which I think is fucking rude. And Audrey said it's because Martha Wells says that it's no longer she no longer wants it to be considered part of the Murderbot series. And it's only on Goodreads as part of the Take Us to a Better Place stories. But why can't it just be on Martha Wells' page? Just not as part of Murderbot. Pisses me off. Anyway, I read this. I think I'd probably give it, I don't know what I gave it, because it literally won't let me rate it, because it's no longer on Goodreads, but it still let me mark it as read. I'm very upset about this, because I'm not gonna read these other stories, probably, but I gave it probably 2 stars. I found it very uninteresting. It's just a little short story about someone on a space station trying to solve a murder. And yeah, it's very, very short. It was a very fast read, and it felt like it took forever. And I didn't care. Anyway. Thank you guys for backing me up. And I did enjoy parts of the book, and I do think that I got a lot of good information about it. Like, I know so much more about this topic than I ever did before. I'm glad I read it. But by the end, this author and I are beefing. She doesn't even know who I am. The Witch Would Not by Olivia Atwater. So I did read another Olivia Atwater. And Olivia Atwater's, like, not publishing right now. And that makes me frightened because where are you, Olivia Atwater? She hasn't published this year. And she's not publishing in this series, the Victorian Fairy Tales. And, like, she started some other series, but it's not even on audio, so I'm gonna have to read it, like, physically. And I'm like, girl, where are you? Like, I don't know. She was publishing so much, and then it was kind of slowed down, and now maybe stopped, and I'm worried. So, anyway. But I did read this, the first book in the Victorian Fairy Tales, and this is, like, set, like, 30-ish years. Like, it's set a good amount after the Half a Soul, that series, the fairy tale series. It is not the fairy tale series, sorry. I don't know why I said that. The other one. The Regency fairy tale series. And this is the Victorian fairy tale series. So it is in the same world. It is a direct sequel, like, not a direct sequel. It's not following the same characters, but it is following the it would be like maybe like Mistborn, like season 2 or whatever. It's like in the same world, we're following, like, we're trying, I don't know, like, characters are mentioned, stuff is happening. Anyway, so unless you do not plan on reading Half a Soul, 10,000 Stitches, Long Shadow, I would not recommend reading this. Unless you're not gonna read these, I would not recommend reading this, because you will, it's not that you'll necessarily get fully spoiled, because it's not like they're going into, like, all the nitty-gritty relationships and stuff, but it's, like, kind of like, this is set, like, 40 years later, or 30 years later, like, stuff has happened. Anyway, I did like it. It's following a character who has been asked to come be a governess, even though she is not a governess. It's kind of like an act to protect someone, because protect a young lord, because people in this house, like, go missing, and so she's doing it as a favor because she has skills and is like a witch, and so she's a magician, and so she is in this house, and weird things happen, and it was kind of spooky. It was kind of perfect for this time of year, and I did really enjoy it, but I don't want to say too much, because I'm like, read Half a Soul first, read this series first, because I do love this series, even though I didn't love this last one. Anyway. if it's a NetGalley arc, I mean, how would you even sell that? I mean, I guess I'm just maybe technologically illiterate. I guess there probably are ways to share that, but interesting. I read Blood Over Brighthaven, and I gave it 3 stars. I feel like I'm in the minority. Everybody loves this book, and I liked it okay. It was very bingeable, which this is what I was talking about. Like, it was on the longer side, like 430 pages. It's not like the longest book ever, but it was longer. And I'm sure they're probably, it's probably harder to sell ebooks, but I mean, it's probably very easy to pirate them though. Like, just throw them up on any piratey site or whatever, but interesting. I think it was very bingeable. Like, despite it being a little bit longer, like, I did read through it very quickly, but it wasn't a love or a hate. It was just kind of I have not read The Will of the Many, but I plan on it. I do want to read it. And The Sword of Kaigen has been on my TBR, but then I kind of recently learned that half of it is like a battle scene, and that sounds terrible. I don't think I want to read 300 pages of a battle scene. So, I'll probably still give it a try, because I think I own it on audio. I'm pretty sure. If I don't, maybe I won't give it a try, but I'm pretty sure I do already. So if I do, I'll give it a try, but that scares me. Anyway, this felt a little ham-fisted. I kind of felt like I was being beat over the head the whole time I was reading it. Anyway, it is, I don't know, I don't even feel like I need to say what this is about, because everybody knows what it's about. I started reading the collection of the short stories, the Scared Sexy short stories. I've read 2 of them so far, Beautiful Nightmare and Hot for Slayer. I gave Hot for Slayer 2 stars. It was a really long. Like, for how short I was expecting them to be. I know it says it's only 94 pages, but it was really long. It just kept going and going and going and going, and it felt very stupid to me. Like, I don't understand how the ratings on this are so high. I don't know. It's about a vampire who doesn't understand that the vampire slayer who's been stalking her for centuries is actually in love with her. And then Beautiful Nightmare by Katie Robert is, I actually gave 3 stars. This one has a 3.34, and it is about a sleep paralysis demon who, on her first night on her own, no longer being a trainee, instead of scaring the person, she accidentally turns them on. And I don't know, for Katie Robert, it was actually much more like sweet and less horny than I was expecting. It was, yeah, and it was significantly shorter. It was only 52 pages. It was like half the length as the other one, which is more what I was expecting for this collection. I wasn't expecting them to be so long. And then I read the Allie Hazelwood one, and I was like, why is this still going? Stop. Why is it so long? Looking for a Group by Alexis Hall. It is really young, which I was not expecting. This is young adult here, and I wouldn't say it's quite young adult. It's more like new adult, but they're in college. And I wasn't expecting it to be so young. I did DNF it. I only got 20% of the way in. And I would have kept going probably, except for the audiobook. So half of this book is set in a MMO RPG. And then half of the book is, like, I guess in the real world. Half of the book is in the MMORPG, and the audiobook made the decision for the entirety of the book in the MMORPG to have music playing over the background. Oh my gosh, I wanted to cease existing. It hurt my head. It was giving me such a headache. It was just like, no, stop it. Oh. Okay. Swarm by Frank Schatzing. Yeah, why is it so long? Whew. And it's old. A swarm. I just realized I probably should have read that out loud, but I did not. I feel like it's too late. The ocean is attacking. Ooh. So looking for a group, if I was to finish this book, I would have to finish it on as a physical read, and I did think about it, but I don't care enough because they were so young, and I just don't care. I don't know. I was not interested enough. I did get 20% of the way in, but whoever, I just wasn't vibing enough. But I did say whoever made that music decision committed a crime. It was giving me a headache, and it was so distracting. But just having weird ambient music playing over half of the audiobook was actually torture. And I would not recommend this audiobook at all. Like, I didn't even have it sped up very much at all. So even if you don't speed up your audiobook, like, I just did not like it. Like, unless you like listening to your audiobook while listening to music at the same time, I do not recommend that. Ugh. Out of the Silent Planet by C.S. Lewis. This is C.S. Lewis's allegorical Jesus fan fiction space trilogy. I've read the first book now. I do not plan on continuing with the series, but this was interesting, to say the least. It is... Here. Out of the Silent Planet begins the adventures of remarkable Dr. Ransom. Here the estimable man is abducted by megalomaniacal physicist and his accomplice and taken via spaceship to the Red Planet of Malacandra. First published in 1943, Out of the Silent Planet remains a mysterious and suspenseful tour de force. It started very interesting. I was actually quite surprised by the beginning. It's very short. It's only 160 pages. It started very interesting, and I was the beginning reminded me actually a lot, which is not surprising this here says that it was first published in 1938, so I don't know who to believe, 1943 or 1938. But it's not surprising by the year published. It does remind me of very old sci-fi movies or very old sci-fi books, the writing and tone and everything. It kind of feels, take this with a huge pinch of salt, it does not feel like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but it kind of feels a little bit like that. Or I recently read or tried to read The Lost World. It felt a little bit like that. It feels a little bit like, I don't know, just these old sci-fi books. And the beginning, it's this man is going on a walking tour and stumbles across something odd, and he gets kidnapped and brought into this wild adventure, and it was actually quite interesting. And then it just got really weird and boring, and then it got really Jesus, and then I don't know. I did make it through, but I do not intend on continuing. Anyway. Okay. We're almost there. I promise. Okay, Spread Me by Sarah Gailey. I did not know anything about what this was about before I went into it, and I knew the title was Spread Me, and I kept kind of forgetting what this book was. I kept forgetting Spread Me was by Sarah Gailey, and I kept having it on my, TBR with all, just the titles down here, but I had it with, Spicy Little Curses and Space Vampire and, all the, romance books, and I kept thinking it was one of those. And then I kept being what is Spread Me? And then I would look it up, and I'm oh yeah, it's Sarah Gailey's book. I kept thinking it was some spicy romance. And, you know, the title, it is a salacious title, and it is for a reason. It is sci-fi, erotic sci-fi, which I was not expecting. It was interesting. I did end up really liking it, but I was not expecting, because I didn't know what it was about, and I did not think that the title spread me was actually telling me the hint that it was actually going to be erotic, and it is. So that is your warning as well. Not that I have an issue with that, obviously, but I was just surprised. But it is set like on Earth, but it is about a research team in the desert, and the main character is horny for viruses, and they find a specimen and they bring it inside, and then bad shit happens. I would have liked this better, but there were flashbacks in between every chapter. So the research team has been out there for 5 years or 4 years or something like that. And in between every chapter, it goes back to like when they first were getting there and getting to know each other and stuff. And it kept like slowing down the pace, because this is very short, like it's 200 pages, and it kept just like jumping back, and it kept like pulling me out of the story, and I was like, wait, no, I was very interested in where we're at now, and then you give me like 2 pages of backstory that I don't care about. I just want to know what's going on right now. And anyway, but Sarah Gailey is an all-time favorite author of mine. I'll pick up anything they write. I gave it 4 stars, but I love them, and I'll pick up anything they write in the future. Okay, A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. I DNF'd at 56%, and I am very sad about it. I do not think that Sangu Bandana is the author for me. This book was just too sweet, too slow, too meandering, too for me. I completely understand why people love this book, why people rave about this book, why people eat it up and think it's the best thing ever, and fills their cup and they love it. I totally understand. It's just not for me. And if you're interested in this and you want to read it, I think you should. But The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, I also didn't love. It's like a 3-star for me. Same thing for that. Like, I liked it okay, but I completely understand why it would be somebody's favorite book of all time, or why they would give it 4 or 5 stars. Like, I completely understand that, but I just didn't love it. And that's how I feel with this one. And so I kind of slogged through the first half, and finally I was like, I need to stop slogging because it's bumming me out. It's like, I just need to put it down. But in no ways am I not condoning this book, and I think if you want to pick it up, you should. A little too tooth-achingly sweet for me. Bookshops and Bone Dust. I ended up giving 3 stars as well. I liked it. I thought it was just fine. I don't know. It felt a little long for how little happened. Like, there was a lot of nothing happening in a lot of it. Anyway, but I did enjoy it, and I gave it 3 stars. Like, I didn't dislike it by any means, but I didn't love it. And, I mean, I had a good time reading it, and it kept my attention, but at the end I gave it 3 stars. And it's the prequel to Legends and Lattes, which I read when it first came out, and it took me a really long time to finally pick up bookshops in Bone Dust. Like, Legends and Lattes, I mean... And I think I'll read the sequel, but I don't know. I'll probably give it a while. I read Legends and Lattes in July of 2022, so I read it like 5 months after it came out, so it was a pretty early reader of it, but I just... I don't know. It didn't stun me. Okay, and then we have a slew of DNFs. So first, not a DNF, The Summer War by Naomi Novik. 3 stars. This is a novella that was like a little fairy tale, and I think I saw somebody else's review saying they wish it was a full novel because I think it would have been a lot better, and I agree with that. It just felt too short. I feel like it would have been better if it was longer and had more fleshing out and had more, like, I feel like she could have added a lot more and made this world like really rich and intense. Or I feel like it could have even been shorter and been like a tiny little short story, and then I would have liked it even better. But I feel like as a novella, it just felt like it was this weird middle ground, and I didn't end up loving it. Like, it was fine. It was just like a fairy tale, and it felt either a little too long or a little too short. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I would recommend it. It has really high ratings, which I'm kind of surprised about, because it didn't do really anything for me. Like, I'm very surprised by this. But I guess I'm in the minority, and maybe you should pick it up anyway. So don't listen to me. I guess pick this up because apparently it's like the best thing since sliced bread. I don't know. It just didn't grip me. I just wasn't like interested the whole time. I was just along for the ride. And then a couple DNFs. My Roommate is a Vampire by Jenna Levine. I got 19% in before dropping it. It's about a girl who moves in with a man and then presumably finds out he's a vampire. I did not get that far. I was very uninterested. The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. It's about this man who is like reliving the same day but in a different person's body every day, until he can figure out who kills Evelyn Hardcastle. But it ended up being very fat phobic. And I think also with like a book like this, I think also the point is that the characters are unlikable. Like, that is the point. But I don't think that was the point of the fat phobia. The fat phobia was like very like internalized, very like just there for the sake of it. Like, it was not to be unlikable. It was to be... I think it was just because the author is fat phobic. I don't know. It was very odd. It was like there was like this moment where he was in the fat body and then he went back to a body that like got beat to shit, and then he was like, oh yeah, I thought there was nothing worse than being in a fat body, but actually, yeah, being in a body that's been beat up and feels like you're about to die, I guess it is worse than being in a fat body. And it's like, you think there's nothing worse than being in a fat body? Jesus Christ. I don't know. It was just like, I think there's even more to come with the fat phobia, but I I I dropped it at the 21% because I just was not enjoying. But if you wanted to look up more people who, I think the fat phobia continues every time we're in the perspective of that person, yeah. And I just wasn't interested, unfortunately. 7 Reasons to Murder Your Dinner Guests by KJ Whittle is, yeah, so 7 people come to a dinner that they're all mysteriously invited to, and then they don't know each other, and then at the end of the dinner they get these cards that say when they're gonna die, like at what age, and so then they're all kind of like waiting for their impending doom. And then I think each section is, so you, in each of those sections, so first section is like at the dinner party, and then the next section is gonna be after the first person dies, and the next section is gonna be after the next person dies, I think is how it goes. And each section follows each perspective though. So at the dinner guest, you get a little bit from each person's POV, and at the next section you get each person's POV minus 1, and then minus 1 again, etc. But I only got through the first section. That's all I read, and then I was like, I just don't give a shit. I got 16% of the way through, and I was just kind of like, again, the point is that all of these people are like incredibly unlikable is the point, but like, and maybe that's like the kind of like thriller mystery that you want to read, but I don't know, just reading from the perspective of 7 really unlikable people is not very fun for me. And then continuing to read from the perspective of 6 really unlikable people, and then 5 really unlikable people, etc., etc. And then also it was really fat phobic, and then, but I think it was more, I don't know, I think it was a little bit more purposeful. Like, one of the people has like an eating disorder and stuff, and I don't know, but it was, again, like, everybody's like, being fat is the worst thing ever, and like stuff, and it was just like not very fun to read. So I gave up on it again, and I do not regret that decision for a moment. People said that it's very slow burn, and since it's only taking place like after, they're not really doing very much to like discover. It's always very like reactionary and not very like trying to catch the person beforehand and stuff. So not very like thriller high action, just a very slow burn mystery. So if that's what you want to read, but I did not enjoy reading it very much. Anyway, some other things. So those are everything I've marked. Lots of DNFs recently, unfortunately. A couple more things that I'm just going to delete off my TBR because I did not get far enough and I don't want to read them. So I'm just going to drop them and then we'll call it good. um, is I got 2% into Heidi Lucy Loses Her Mind, which is the sequel to um, oh gosh, what is Juniper Bean Resorts to Murder, which I loved and I gave 5 stars. It's like Happily Ever Homicide series. It's like a murder mystery romance series, and I loved it so much. I read it in 2023. Um, but this one, the Heidi Lucy Loses Her Mind, I don't know. This book was published in 2023, and there was a Harry Potter reference in the first 2%, and I was just like, I don't know. I'm just gonna leave that one, you know? I, I just don't wanna. Authors that are making Harry Potter references in their books in 2023, I'm just gonna leave that. So I'm just gonna delete that. I'm not gonna mark it as anything. I was just gonna let that go. And then The Maiden and Her Monster, I only got 4% in, so I don't really feel like marking it as a DNF or anything. I just was not very interested so far, so I'm not going to mark it as a DNF or anything. I barely got any percent into it, so, but it says it's for fans of Catherine Arden, Ava Reed, Hannah Witten, and Naomi Novik. I was just not really vibing with it, so I read some of the reviews, and I think what it's gonna deliver is not gonna be what I want very much. But basically, it is a girl who. So she lives in this village, and they have an exorbitant tax on them frequently, but then also they're next to this forest, and like monsters are like taking the women from the village, and so they're just like getting pinched from both sides, and they keep not being able to make the like payments, and so the main character, her I guess her mother gets taken, and so she tells like the priest who's taking the money that she will bring him the monster if he'll spare her mother. And I didn't even get to that point. It was, I don't know, I just wasn't vibing with it, so I dropped it, but I love this cover so much. I don't know if there's ever been excuse me, a more beautiful cover, to be honest. Oh, I especially love these dragons. Oh, so good. I love her. I love her nose. It's so good. I love the pomegranates. Everything about this cover is just 10 out of 10. So stunning. I love it. But I'm just not very interested, and I don't think I'm ever gonna come back to it. I was just not vibing with it, so I'm just gonna delete that one and move on. And there we go. Now you are caught up with everything I have read recently, which I feel like is a lot. I've been reading a lot. Okay, I'm gonna take a little break. I'm going to get some water, go to the bathroom. But I will be back, and I'm gonna mute myself. So if the buzzing goes away, I'm still here. I promise. Okay, friends. Alright, so let's see. Whew. Alright, so I was going to share with you my series tracker that I put together. This, I ended up finding from, let me see. What was the name? Okay, so this is from Maisie May. Okay, so this is the video that it's linked in. But if you look up Maisie May, MAISIE series tracker, it's in this one, Bookish Reset. And then there's the series tracker template. And then I modified it quite a bit, but this is like the base of what it looks like. And then you just click use template up here in the top right corner. So again, it's Maisie May. And the handle is Maisie Reads, at Maisie Reads. So I did modify it quite a bit, added some extra stuff that I wanted to track, but I am happy with how it has turned out. But you can see from this, I have 119 series to finish, 490 books to finish them. The total books are 796. The books that I've read are 306. I'm up to date on 4, which means the series is ongoing, but I'm caught up on them. The breakdown of genre, the status, so I'm not putting in series that like I DNF really, because I DNF like a bajillion series. But I only have one DNF in here because I just DNF'd the Happily Ever Homicide one. So I'm just, since that was already in here, I'm just going off of what is already in here. So I put that one in here, but DNF up to date, my status. But yeah, that is what it is. The series status, so complete series, there's 86 ongoing series, so the series is finished being published or is still being published, and I'm 38% of the way done. Anyway, and to no one's surprise, 68% of them, or not 68, sorry, 36% of them are fantasy, and then 33% of them are romance, because I started many a romance series back in the day. But a good amount are actually sci-fi, 12%. I'm surprised, and I'm also surprised that 9% of them are classics / contemporary series. But yeah, that's my series tracker, and I made all of this, and it took a long time, but I'm glad it is done. So there's a few different ways that I can organize this and sort this. Some of the extra things that I added, so she only had series name. I also added author. She had category. I think what I'm gonna do, because fantasy, I put fantasy, sci-fi, horror, romance, mystery, thriller, classic, contemporary, history, science, nature, nonfiction, and other nonfiction. So those are just my general categories when I track stuff for my spreadsheet for my cross stitching. So that's what I just threw in here, because it was what I'm already tracking, and I thought that would be like a good easy thing. But I think I actually need it to break down more. I think I need to do like more subcategories for this, because for my cross stitch books, the reason I didn't do more is because like I only have 10 projects I want to work on. So I needed very broad, loose categories for that, and that is working for that. But for this, it's like, yeah, Redwall is my fantasy and stuff, but the others by Anne Bishop is fantasy, but it's also romance. It's like a urban fantasy, paranormal, whatever. I don't know, like they're very different vibes. If I'm in the mood for a fantasy, those are very different series. Same thing with the Books of Bayern or the Fey Witch Chronicles. Like, I don't know, like these are or the Narwhal and Jelly series by Ben Clayton. It's a silly, goofy graphic novel series. Like, they're so silly. Like, the Wayward Children series is a totally different vibe than the East books by Edith Patu. These are like short novella, very whimsical but sad and melancholy, but can be joyful. But I don't know, they're just like a very different vibe than these like long, magical fairy tale retellings. Like, I think I need to break it down more. Do I use a spreadsheet to keep track of your physical TBR? I don't. I have a Goodreads that has all my physical owned books, and I think I am going to make some shelves on there with the books that I do need to read, and try to start working through those, but I haven't made it into a spreadsheet yet. And also, since I'm not technically done with updating the Goodreads, because there's like 3 more shelves in the house that I need to do, and I just haven't felt like it, because they're books from like the mid 1900s, and so like they're just a pain in the ass to catalog. They're not like, they don't have ISBNs and stuff. But once they're all updated on there, I could just download the Goodreads and then I will have a spreadsheet. So that would be nice. But I do think I need to go through here and break these up. Or like Dark Olympus is very different than contemporary romance. Like Neon Gods is so different than contemporary romance, is so different than horny monster romance, is like so different than historical romance, is, I don't know, like, I think I need to sub-genreize this way more than I did my other stuff, so I think that's something I'll probably do at some point. I don't know if that's something I'll do on stream or not. I don't know if that's something you would want to see, but anyway. But I am really proud of this. And I also went through and put all the next book in the series, which I'm also really proud of. And yeah, I feel very good about this. And then I have the date started is how I have it organized right now. But I could also organize it by like series name or the date read, which is the last date that I read a book in that series. So anyway. Also, the series that are killing me, every time I added one of these really long series, it just killed my stats. Like Discworld, I was like, oh, for a 41 book series, great. Ancient Magus's Bride, 22 book long series, oh, awesome. I'm so glad about that. Like, I don't know, there's just like some really long, excruciatingly long series on here. The Myth Adventure series, there's like 19 books in that. Like, some of these I'm like, I don't think I will read all of these. Like, some of these will probably be DNFs. The Psy Changeling series, there's 24 books in that, and I'm like, oh, I've read one of these, great. Now my ratio is so fucked because of that. So anyway, all right. So I did get through 11, which means I've done I don't know. I'm so bad. I can't do math right now. Or hardly ever. There's 30 books on each page. $332 books, which does not feel like a lot out of almost 2,000, but we're making progress, and this number will never go down because every time I delete a bunch of books, I add a bunch more. So this has gone down to like below 1900 multiple times, and then I add like 50 more books multiple times. It is a problem, but we persist. Okay, so I'm just gonna probably do only a little bit. I know this was called Organizing My Goodreads, but instead I yapped and yapped and yapped and yapped. So I think I'll probably only do a little bit and then call it quits, maybe in like 20-ish minutes. But, oh god, lots of nonfiction to start with. Napoleon, A Life. Oh god, I did not mean to close that. Starting bad. What is this? A definitive biography of Napoleon, revealing the true man behind the legend. What a novel my life has been, Napoleon once said of himself. Born into a poor family, the callow young man was, by 26, an army general. Seduced by an older woman, his marriage transformed him into a galvanizing military commander. The Pope crowned him as Emperor of the French when he was only 35. Within a few years, he became the effective master of Europe, his power unparalleled in modern history. His downfall was no less dramatic. The story of Napoleon has been written many times. In some versions, he is a military genius, and others a war-obsessed tyrant. Here, historian Adam Zamoyski cuts through the mythology and explains Napoleon against the background of the European Enlightenment and what he was himself seeking to achieve. The most famous of men is also the most hidden of men, and Zamoyski dives deeper than any previous biographer to find him. Beautifully written, Napoleon brilliantly sets the man in his European context. I think I would like to read a biography about Napoleon at some point, just because it would be interesting to read and learn about him. I don't know that this is the one that I feel set on, but I think I'll keep it on my TBR for now, and I can always give it a try. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, Time Traveler's Guide to England, to Elizabethan England. Have I read one of these? No, not yet. They're all on my TBR though. There's Guide to Medieval England, Elizabethan England, Restoration Britain, and to Regency Britain. The author of Time Traveler's Guide to Medieval England takes you through the world of Shakespeare to Queen Elizabeth I. From the author of the Time Traveler's Guide to Medieval England, this popular history explores daily life in Queen Elizabeth's England, taking us inside the homes and minds of ordinary citizens as well as luminaries of the period, including Shakespeare, Christopher Marlowe, Sir Walter Raleigh, and Sir Francis Drake. Organized as a travel guide for the time-hopping tourist, Mortimer relates in different and occasionally disturbing detail, in delightful and occasionally disturbing detail, everything from the sounds and smells of 16th century England to the complex and contradictory Elizabethan attitude towards violence, class, sex, and religion. Original enough to interest those who with previous knowledge of Elizabethan England and accessible enough to entertain those without. This is a book for Elizabethan enthusiasts and history buffs alike. I've been wanting to read this for so long. Sounds a delight. The Children of Henry VIII by Alison Weir. At his death in 1547, Henry VIII left his 4 heirs to the English throne. His only son, the 9-year-old Prince Edward, the Lady Mary, the adult daughter of his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, the Lady Elizabeth, the daughter of his second wife, Anne Boleyn, and his young great-niece, the Lady Jane Grey. These are the players in the royal drama that ultimately led to Elizabeth's ascension to the throne, one of the most spectacularly successful reigns in English history. It's interesting that it's called The Children of Henry VIII, but yet it's partially about Lady Jane Grey. Isn't that odd? Hmm. Dungeonborn. Is this lit RPG? Yes, looks like it. Has really high ratings, but we'll see. Dakota Kraut. Oh no. Okay, it's a man. I was like, because I feel like Dakota can be both. Either a male name or a female name. It is both. Okay. A powerful dungeon, a sheep herder turned noble, their path to ascendance through cultivation. The reason I was looking that up is because I don't trust men who write lit RPG, because they're usually really sexist. Conquering dungeons and using them to grow has long been the most efficient way to become a powerful adventurer. The only thing keeping the process from being easy is the beast that inhabit these places. Questions plague those entering this particular place of power. Where do the rewards of weapons, armor, and heavy gold coins come from? Why is a fluffy bunny charging at me? For Abyss' sake, why are there so many monsters? Cal has all of the answers to these age-old questions for a very simple reason. He is a dungeon core, a soul forced against his will into a magical stone. With the help of an energetic friend, Cal grows a dungeon around himself to bring in new sources of power. When a threat he doesn't fully comprehend bares its many teeth, Cal is determined to survive the attempts on his life. Fortunately for adventurers, the only way for him to achieve his goal is to eat anyone that enters his depths. Okay, so I have read another like lit RPG kind of book that is like a God core book, and I did really like that one. So okay. The writing is bad. It's skipped from first person to third person constantly and mixed up tenses so often that I stopped counting the mistakes. Misspellings were rife. Mostly were the homophobic misspellings, which is possibly even more annoying. Whole instead of whole, two instead of two, etc. I wonder, has this been... Yeah, I don't know. Probably not. It doesn't look like it's been picked up by Trad Publishing at all. Not that that would guarantee that it would be good, because... Oh, it looks like Tantor and Blackstone did redo the audiobook, though, so maybe they corrected shit. But I don't know. I think I'm okay to let it go. Like, it might be fun, but I'm okay to let it go. Okay. Great Catherine, The Life of Catherine the Great, Empress of Russia, by Carolee Erickson. From the moment the 14-year-old Princess Sophia of Anhalt-Zerbst agreed to marry the heir to the Russian throne, she was mired in a quicksand of intrigue. Okay, so I do know that this is an author that I'm interested in. Like, she's all over the place with her books, and she does publish them quite, for the most part, quite far apart, which I think is a good sign. I think does she only do nonfiction as well? Anyway, she is an author on my radar. How is it spoilers? I'm so confused. Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna say yes to this one. Okay, original Grimm's Fairy Tales. Obviously, I would like to read through all of these at some point. I know there's, like, original and then, like, updated, and I would like to read through both at some point, but this is the original. Okay. And I don't feel like I need to read through that. I'm pretty sure I know what these are. I've already read a lot of them, but this is one that I do struggle with like getting through the whole thing, though, because I'm like, I just lose steam. I don't think it's good for binging, but then I never, like, remember to pick it back up, you know? Okay. Mercy Suarez. I think this one might go, unfortunately. Realistic children's fiction. They changed that cover. What is this cover? Is this supposed to be Mercy? She looks like she's like 20. What is this? She looks like she's 12 here and 20 here. I don't like that cover. Thoughtful, strong-willed sixth grader Murphy Suarez navigates difficult changes with friends, family, and everyone in between in a resonant new novel from Meg Medina. Mercy Suarez knew that sixth grade would be different, but she had no idea just how different. For starters, Mercy has never been like the other kids in her private school in Florida because she and her older brother, Raleigh, are scholarship students. They don't have a big house or a fancy boat, and they have to do extra community service to make up for their free tuition. So when bossy Edna Santos sets her sights on the new boy, who just happens to be Mercy's school-signed sunshine buddy, I don't know. I don't want to read realistic fiction on the best of days. I don't want to read middle grade realistic fiction. And I did have this on my radar like when it first came out, and then it was really highly appraised, and then it was like a Newbery winner for that year, and I was like, oh, I should read it. I need to read it. I should read it. But I'm like, I'm trying to get rid of the books that I feel like I should read, because I'm like, I don't actually want to read it. And that's the thing I'm trying to get better at. She does not look like a sixth grader. She looks really old for some reason. I don't know who thought that cover was good. I want to stop feeling pressure. And it's not pressure from anybody. It's pressure from me. I want to stop feeling pressure to like read books that I have zero interest in reading. I like a speculative twist. I like a speculative twist, or I need like some romance or something. 6 years later. Oh, I should not read what this is about because spoilers. Anyway, Gathering Blue. I do want to continue with this series, even though I read the first one a while ago. I did end up really liking The Giver when I read it, and I've heard that the series continues to be good. So sci-fi, fantasy. Anyway, you can't call it a classic if it came out in 2000. What the hell? I mean, you can. You can do whatever you want, but I'm not going to call it a classic. Oh, I have a weird edition of this on my shelf. And by weird, I just mean another language. I don't know why I said weird. I just mean not English, and I don't know why I think that's weird. I'm so sorry. A lively, inviting account of the history of economics, told through events from ancient to modern times and through the ideas of great thinkers in the field. A whistle-stop introduction to the great works and thinkers of each age. This is a clear and accessible primer. What causes poverty? Are economic crises inevitable under capitalism? Is government intervention in an economy helpful or harmful? Will the answers to such basic economic questions matter to everyone? The unfamiliar language and math of economics can seem daunting. to read this. I think I'll leave it on my TBR for now, and then I will decide on it later. I just feel like I just have a lot of blind spots in my education, but also I'm like, I don't know if this is like a very reliable source. So I feel like I need to look into it more, and I don't know if this is the place that I want to do it right now. Anyway, Spin the Dawn. I definitely know I want to read this. Because it's like magic, but with fabric. And that sounds amazing. A gifted tailor in disguise, 3 legendary dresses, the competition of a lifetime, by Elizabeth Lim. And I think it's a duology, but maybe there's more. Yeah, just a duology. On the fringes of the Great Spice Road, Maya Tamarin works as a seamstress in the shop for her father, once a tailor of renown. She dreams of becoming the greatest tailor in the land, but as a girl, the best she can hope for is to marry well. When a royal messenger summons her alien father to court, Maya poses as his son and travels to the summer palace in his place. She knows her life is forfeit if her secret is discovered, but she'll take that risk to save her family from ruin and achieve her dream of becoming the imperial tailor. There's just one catch. Maya is one of 12 tailors vying for the job, and then she ends up discovering she has magic or whatever. I really want to give it a try, and I think this cover is stunning. Fantasy, romance. The only problem is I wish it was gay. Isn't that the problem with every book, though? Don't you look at every book and go, man, I wish this was gay? Okay. The Midnight Lie by Marie Rutkowski. Where Nirim lives, crime abounds. A harsh tribunal rules, and society's pleasures are reserved for the high kiss. Life in the ward is grim and punishing. People of her low status are forbidden from sampling sweets or wearing colors. You either follow the rules or pay a tithe and suffer the consequences. Nirim keeps her head down and a dangerous secret close to her chest. But when she encounters Sid, a rakish traveler from far away who whispers rumors that high caste possesses magic, Sid tempts Nirim to seek that magic for herself. But to do that, Nirim must surrender her old life. She must place her trust in this sly stranger who asks, above all, not to be trusted. Set in the world of the New York Times bestselling Winners trilogy. Oh. Well, it is gay, which I just asked for. I did not realize this was set in the world as the Winners trilogy. The Taylor Swift finals for your sister's gift. Off to run errands. Ugh. Well, I'm glad you hung out. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I'm glad you got so much of your laundry done. I hope your sheets smell and feel amazing. Thank you. Have a amazing, incredible rest of your day, weekend, and I hope your week goes well. The Winners trilogy is a series that I could not give less of a shit about. I just have heard that it's a slave romance and that a lot of people have big issues with it and do not like that. So, I don't know. I've just heard a lot of people be like, "Oh, this is so not ugh." And I did not know this was in the same world, so I think that really dampens my interest. I had no idea. Even though I was just asking for gay stuff. I guess I must be picky about what gayness I ask for. Also, look at this. We're in 2020, which is wild. Oh, and we need to add Gathering Blue. I didn't even do that to my oldest sequels. Okay. I think that actually might be a good place to end the stream anyway, because we are into 2020. We've already added one book from 2020 onto the thing. So I know we didn't go through many books today, but I just couldn't stop yapping about everything I've read recently. But this way I can go eat some food and everybody can go enjoy the rest of their Sunday evening. But yeah, I think that's everything. Sorry, I'm stretching. I know it's a little bit of a shorter stream, but yeah, I'm excited to keep going through everything. But we're already over 300 books through, which feels very good. And as we continue through, we're just going to be deleting books ferociously, which feels good. But yeah, I'm gonna head off now, but I appreciate everybody who hung out today. And yeah, have a good rest of your day. Have a great week.